Hello everyone, it is December 24th, 2019, and in this tech vlog we won't really be talking about tech, so maybe I should call it something else. But rather we'll be talking about some of the things I've been doing around the house to improve, well, a variety of different things. In particular, we'll be talking about insulation. So, should be noted, I'm really a novice when it comes to home repairs. I'm learning. I'm still pretty young, and I've never owned a house before, so, learning as I go. This is a great house to learn on because, well, there's a lot of little things that need to be done, and they're all things I could handle myself. So let's first talk about one of the minor issues in this room, which was up in this corner. So, I already have my light up there because I tried to film this before and realized I was covering my microphone. There's a hole in the ceiling right now. It was this way when I bought the house, and it's, as far as I can tell, it's because the cable for the cable internet, or as it used to be cable TV in this house, comes in right about there. This is the old line. I still need to remove it, but really I just need to chop it here because somebody installed a splitter way back there and I can't get to it without taking down the ceiling. So cable comes into the house. This is the new line, by the way, all nice and tucked up there. And, well, I guess that's all there really is to say about that. That's why they cut this out. And in doing so, it allowed me to see that in the corner of the house, there's a bit of a gap back in there, which I don't know if I can get the camera back in there very much. Yeah, not really. But back in that area, there's the corner of the house, and you can see some of the, I don't know what exactly you'd call it. It's the wood cladding that goes, you put up, whatever they made it out, 2x4, 2x6s. You stick it over as an internal layer before you put on the siding, maybe. So I can see there's a gap in that, and then I can see the siding in it. Well, as I was going around here, seeing if it was worth putting some insulation there, which it certainly was, I put my hand up in the corner, and I could feel a draft. Like somebody had put on just a very small fan and was running it super fast, and it was blowing in my face, creating wind. So that wasn't ideal, especially because I live in western New York State, and it gets down to, -20 at the lowest, but typically in the winter you're looking at around 0 most of the time. So that was very much not ideal. What I ended up doing was just taking some pieces of insulation that I tore off, and I shoved it in there the best I could. That completely stopped the draft. Now I know that's maybe not the ideal way to do it, but that's all I had. And then I cut some pieces to size. I think it's 8-inch tall, and packed the corner a little bit more so it's more insulated, and well, it worked, and I'll talk a little bit about that later, but it doesn't feel freezing cold all the time in here. Most of the time during the winter it's about 54 down here, and if you walk closer to this side of the house it gets colder. It gets down to about 50, so it definitely has improved that. Now, one thing to note is that older houses, and this is a house built in the 1930s, late 30s, early 40s, somewhere around there, they don't have the rim joist insulated. Now, most newer houses probably will, I think, that's what I heard at least, but older ones almost never do, unless somebody has done it in the past few years. So, I got from there to there insulated as far as the rim joist goes, and that's as much as I'm going to do now because I need insulation for something else, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, this area is done for now, and it actually made a huge freaking difference. It's real nice. I'm really liking how much not colder it is in here. That didn't make sense, but you know what I meant. Let's grab the flashlight and go over here Now, I apologize. Right before I started filming, the furnace turned on, so I'll try to compensate for that the best I can. Um, so what have we got here? Well, as I said, it's an old house and it's had a few upgrades over the years. So, if you can imagine, from about right where the water pipe is, from right about there to the corner of the house over there's the wall. Somebody tacked on, and I really do mean tacked on, a front porch. And this was probably 40, 50 years ago. It's been there for a while, and it hasn't held up very well. That's a project for another day, but the main takeaway points are the foundation is pretty much, sinking into the ground so much that the front porch is angled very much, which is not great. But the main problem that we can see here, hopefully, is that there used to be a window here, and I'll put in a picture of what the window looked like, and if I have any other pictures of the project that I took, I'll put them in there as well. But the window that was in here looked kind of cool. It kind of had that really old style aesthetic. It may have been an original window, actually, but it used to be an exterior window, and when they put on this front porch, they never closed off the opening. They just kind of left the window there, and it never closed. So we moved in about 2 years ago, and that window wouldn't close, so I took a rubber mallet, actually took this rubber mallet in particular, and hammered it closed the best I could, and then filled up all the big gaps with some expanding foam. I know expanding foam is not really ideal for that kind of thing, but it's what I had, and it stopped a lot of the draft from coming in, because it was just dumping cold air into the basement. And, I left it that way for a while, because I just didn't have the time to fix it properly until last week when I did fix it properly. So, again, if I have a picture of it, I'll put it here, but I ripped out what was there, which was a very thin piece of wood around the edge. Bottom part had completely crumbled away, and built a very basic 2x4 frame that just fit perfectly. I was really proud of myself. Right in that hole, and screwed that in to the whatever that would be called, some part of the floor joist, foundation, whatever. Screwed it in, and cut a piece of plywood to size, tacked some insulation onto the back of that plywood, and just put the plywood sheet right over it. And then after that was done, I took a little bit of spray foam around the edges, because it wasn't perfect, and filled all the little gaps. So I could still remove this piece of plywood very easily if I unscrewed it, but I'm not gonna do that anytime soon. So figured I'd make it removable for the next person. But yeah, this has been great. I said I was going to talk about it later. I might as well talk about it now. The basement, when you come down here in the winter from upstairs in the house, the main floor, there's about a 15-degree temperature difference usually, and it hits you. As soon as you walk down the stairs, you feel it, and you feel cold. There's still a difference, because it is a basement, and I'm not really done, but now the difference is only 5 degrees. So this, and something I did on the other side of the room, which I'll show you shortly, and what I did in the other room, that minor repair, have stopped all that cold from coming into the house, or rather heat going out, whatever happens, and has really made it a lot more comfortable down here. This is not a living area, of course. It's a work area. So, and this is another task for another day. But it made such a difference, I was really happy about that. So that is the first thing I did. And I pretty much did the same kind of thing over here. There used to be a window here, and it had to be, again, 50-something years ago. Somebody put on, again, a extremely poorly constructed side porch, except it's made out of concrete, or cement, probably concrete. And it's terrible. We actually ended up breaking some pieces off of it. Well, some broke off of it, then we broke more off, and then just built a wooden kind of deck area over the top of it. Can't tell if this is focused or not. It's really bugging me. It looks mostly focused. So behind here, there is a piece of wood that was probably there when they closed it off this window to put on that side area. And they didn't do a great job at it. There was a hole in it, probably from where the dryer used to vent, which is kind of scary to think it was venting out into, like, under a concrete slab at one point. Maybe that's why it fell apart so much. Anyway, it wasn't insulated at all. It was just outside air again, and it was leaking air. So covered up some of the holes with a little bit of spray foam, and then I put a piece of insulation in that window frame, and once again put some plywood over it, spray foamed the gap, and there you go. So I used a little more spray foam on this than I normally would have because there's nothing behind here. I didn't put a whole lot. What you see is pretty much what's there, but it filled a much larger gap than the other window that I just showed you. So that was nice to have. So this area is closed off now. And, well, let's talk about that in just 1 second. So up here, this is from about right here to the end of the house-ish is the bathroom. And you can't really get in the crawl space, unfortunately. I really wanted to insulate the underside because it gets really, really cold in the winter. But once again, it was just dumping cold air in. So I, shoved a little insulation up in here around the duct, and put a little bit up in there, which you can't really see. And that seems to have stopped any draft that was coming in. Now, I really can't show you too much. Let's see, do I still have the flashlight? Yes, I do. I'll do my best, because I pretty much closed this off the best I could without the intention of ever really opening it. But I'm going to have to get back in here anyway, so wow, this is not really going to work very well. But I promise you there is a kitchen subfloor. So this is the crawl space under the kitchen area, and it's about, 2.5 feet. It goes from here to the floor, and it's completely uninsulated. And I had something to say. What was I going to say? Oh, if you put your feet like under the cabinets upstairs in the kitchen, like if you're standing at a counter, you kind of put your feet a little bit under it, you can feel outside air or outside temperature air coming in, and it makes the whole kitchen really freaking cold. It's miserable. So what I'm going to do, and I plan on doing it today, but I'm not going to. I've got, screw it, let's just take this off. I got some family stuff to do. There we go. Yeah. This is not my best work, but it gets the job done. So, turn on the light here. So there's the underside of the kitchen. No insulation to speak of. There's a little bit around the edge, but I think that is just was put there between the foundation and the wood, maybe. I'm not really sure. There, that's a little better lighting. So the kitchen cabinets are on either side of the kitchen. And again, you put your feet under there and it's freezing cold because there is absolutely no insulation. So what I planned on doing today, and probably will end up putting it off till next week, is I'm going to crawl under here, probably tack up some of these wires. There's the big old fat black wire for the Tesla in the garage that goes outside underground in the garage. Going to tack some of that up a little better, probably remove that very thin white wire which goes to a security thing that is no longer there. That wire right directly in the middle of the screen, that goes, well, that used to go outside. Man, some of the things I've been finding in this house are really, really scary. that wire goes outside under the foundation and just goes through the dirt. Yep, goes right through the dirt, outside, underground, and went right into the garage. That's scary. And it's old wire, too. It's not like... It's rubberized-ish wire, kind of like that one that goes out of the top of that box. But it's very old, and it was outside in the freaking ground. So that is no longer live. I might snip that off just to get it out of there. In general, just do some cleanup, but I really don't want to disturb the ground, because there's a lot of old... It's just a lot of shit under here. A lot of old crap. And it's dirty, and it's gross, and I'd like to do as much as I can while disturbing as little as possible down here. That is the goal. So I've got probably 2/3 of a roll of insulation left. I don't know how much that is. So my first job will be, in particular, that corner, or that side of the house. Really need to take care of that. That's where the lack of insulation is really causing the most problem. And I'll try to get that done. I've also got some pipe wrap, and because this is a very cold area, I'd like to wrap this, why am I blanking out on the name of this duct? Can't think of that word today. Really want to wrap that up because I'm sure I'm losing some heat when the heat goes through here, from the, whatever it's called. I feel like I'm saying a lot. It's very early again. I always make these videos in the morning, and I have not had coffee. Let's see back in there. Yeah, not too much to see back there. This area, this side of the house isn't so bad because the bathroom is on the other side. I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm just pointing things at things. So that's not too bad. That'll come later. Really, the priority is going to be that side of the house. I'm probably going to do 2 floor joist worth of insulation there at the very least. See how much I have. I'd like to do the rim joist around the back because that is it's an exterior wall, and get that all insulated up. It's just standing here right now. I'm getting cold because there's a draft coming in. I can feel it. Yeah. Again, as I said, this effort is not in vain. This is actually really making it a lot nicer to be down here. Again, it's not a living area, but I got laundry down here. I do laundry, and got the work area down here, and of course my workshop around the corner. It's just really miserable down here in the winter, and I'd like to change that, make it a little less miserable. And I guess that is going to be it for this video. So, if you have any suggestions as to what I should do, or anything that you noticed around the house that you think you might have an idea of how to fix it better, please let me know. I'm always open to suggestions. I know that doing things like this is not really an ideal solution, but it's cost effective. And I'm sure not going to be ripping out this frame right here because that's a lot of effort. And, there's water lines that go there. There's power that goes back there. I'd like to stay, for example, ripping this out, that's going to be a little difficult. Not impossible. Probably kind of easy, but I'd like to stay away from it if possible. It doesn't need to be ripped out. I'm not going to do it. Alright guys, we're almost 20 minutes in, so I thank you very much for watching if you've made it this far. Again, if you got suggestions or comments on how I could do things better, of course, closing up these windows is already done. I'm probably not going to change that, but if I did something terribly wrong, please let me know. I'm all about learning here. Alright, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to go throw this video on the computer, get it uploaded, and we'll see you in the next video.